Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's currently 4:15 in the morning. I'm about to get ready for another long run. And one of the reasons why I wake up so early, technically if I wanted to just wake up and go running, I could get up later. I don't start running until about 5:45, 6 o'clock. But the reason why I wake up so early is because I need to get my fuel in. So, like I talked about last week, I got 2 English muffins. This week I got peanut butter and sliced bananas inside. I love that. And then also 1 serving of Go One More, which has about 20 grams of carbohydrates and then a bunch of sodium to make sure I'm getting my electrolytes, sodium in for sweat loss, and also just really pumping up my glycogen stores before this run. It's not just about the run itself, but we always got to make sure we are preparing ourselves for how we're going to perform in the future. So regardless of what you're doing, always prepare, always make sure you're filled up. Super important. So I've been waking up early for these long runs for a little over a year now, and I think the number one misconception is that this is easy for me. I think a lot of people watch me get up and log these long miles and be like, oh well, you must be just extra motivated than the typical person, or you find it easier to wake up at 4 a.m. But the reality is it always sucks. When I wake up at 4:15, I'm always tired. I'm always wanting to do anything else but get out of bed. And for an hour and a half before my run, it's just mental warfare. But during that time, it's just this consistent buildup as I talk myself into getting ready, eating that food, getting fueled up, stretching, getting my bag packed, getting my shoes, getting in the car, and just getting after it. And the more times I can shut my brain off and just get into it and do it and overcome it and know that, like, hey, I'm about to run 3+ hours and it's gonna suck, but you got this. I can't tell you how much that has improved my mental health, how much that has improved my self-efficacy, my confidence when it comes to not just fitness, but in life when hard things come up. My confidence that I can overcome it. So it is one of those things that is brutal and hard, just like training, just like working out, but it's something that I've found to be tremendously beneficial for me, is waking up at 4 and mentally building myself up to run 3+ miles. So with that being said, let's get after it. Alright, so again, the race that I'm preparing for at the end of this year is the Go Big Ultra Marathon on the Big Island. And I'll be running from Kilauea all the way down to southern Kona. So essentially it's a 62-mile race, and it's gonna be all downhill. And it's all gonna be on pavement. So for my training plan, the reason why I've been doing a lot of trails, even though I'm gonna be running on road during my actual race, is because I'm trying to get my legs nice and strong to handle an entire downhill course, because aerobically it's not going to be as challenging since it is downhill. Muscularly, especially on my tendons and joints, it's going to be very challenging. It's going to be a lot of pounding on the pavement going downhill. So doing a lot of trails to strengthen up my joints, a lot of elevation climb, a lot of decline to work on that. But at the end of the day, it's gonna be a road race. So every once in a while I still come out to log bigger miles,
work on being on the pavement. It's not going to be a whole bunch of climbing, going up, going down, but just working on the road and, you know, just getting comfortable running. Well, now I'm in this beautiful botanical garden I just ran into, but running along cars, being on the road, and just getting used to that, because that's what the actual race is going to be, and it's going to help me visualize and be more comfortable when race day comes. All right, so about 3 miles in so far, cruising, and yeah, let's just keep pounding away. My GoPro turned off, I'm not too sure why, and I can't really troubleshoot right now since I'm running, so switching over to the phone. And the one thing I absolutely love about ultra running, and perfect point right here, is sometimes you get a walk. It's advice that I was given by a veteran ultra runner who's done a bunch of 100-mile races, and the advice he told me was, during an ultra run, you want to drink like a fish, eat like a horse, and run like a turtle. If you do those 3 things, you'll be successful. So it's really a sport where I get to be outdoors for a couple hours, push myself, pace myself, just be in my own mental space for a couple hours, and I get to eat a bunch of food. So, you know, it's, to me, just, it's perfection. It's kind of cool. Bay is really low tide, so I can actually walk on out to where this would typically be water all the way up to the road. Right next to Kaneohe Bay. It's the boat harbor. So me and my buddy, we used to go out here jet skiing and catching some fish. It's good times. All right, 13 miles in. Whew, about the 2 hour 40-minute mark, and we're just cooking. I'm still feeling good, starting to feel sore. I mean, that's the thing, no matter how slow you run, when you get to a certain distance, running 13 miles is gonna hurt. So legs are starting to feel heavy, but still feeling fresh, all things considered. This is where the miles start to really count. So let's finish up this run. All right, just finished up 15 miles, a 12-minute pace, total of 3 hours, 2 minutes. Feel good, not too bad. First run after coming out from my being sick, and you know, I expected it to be bad, and it wasn't. It was actually really, really nice. Moved at a really steady pace. Definitely feel like I have more in the tank, could go further, but I just figured better be pacing myself off, coming back off. Still have a little bit of sniffles, so I don't want to, you know, prolong this longer than I have to. So wrapped up, feel good, great day to be alive. All right, back to the house.
One of my favorite things about this YouTube process has been interacting with other creators in this space. Since I've been started posting on YouTube consistently, and since a lot of my content has been running specific, I've come across and have been interacting with a lot of other creators who've been making videos about running, whether it be ultra running or marathons, them commenting on my videos, me commenting on theirs. And I came across this group of YouTubers who are currently doing this thing called the myrun challenge. And it's really cool. There's a whole bunch of them who are from all around the world making this video, and it was created by the YouTuber Holding Name Required. And essentially the video is just answering 5 questions about your running journey. I was talking to Holding Name Required on his channel, and he mentioned maybe you should make a myrun challenge video yourself. So that's exactly what I'm about to do right now. So thank you, Holding Name Required, for this challenge, and thank you for all the other awesome runners within this community who have been making the myrun challenges to reach out and talk to me to even get me involved in this. So question number 1 is, why do you run? That's a great question. It started off, at first I started running because I was told I can't run by doctors. So for me, it started off very much as a challenge to prove that, you know, I'm able to do something even though maybe the odds are stacked against me. And that's something that I wanted to do for myself, to then show to my clients that just because you may feel like you've been put in this box by yourself or by others, you're way more capable than you give yourself credit for. If we can do things consistently over time, we can see great results. Now, however, running, the reason I run is more for my mental health. There is nothing more that has been beneficial for my journey with depression than running. Like just being out there on the road, just me and my own thoughts for hours, or now even Kika's barking. And even more so now on the trails, being able to get to go outside and enjoy nature while running has been just phenomenal for my mental health. I just think it's just this beautiful, I think running is one of these beautiful activities where it really is, you can do anywhere, and the limits of how far you can go or how fast you can go, a lot of it comes down to your mental fortitude, which I absolutely love. Question number 2 is, what is one piece of running advice you would give to another runner? That's a great question. This is also the first time I'm seeing all these questions, so I'm really going off the top of my head with this. This is very candid. The number one piece of advice I would give to another runner is that always remember that your journey is your own. It's just you versus you out there. I think with running, you know, traditionally I've always known running as a sport where we race others, right? When you start running as a kid, it was me racing my sisters, then my classmates, then people on the football field, out on the track. Even when you're out in a marathon, it feels like you're competing with everyone else. And now with the world of social media, it's just very much this comparative game. I know even myself on Strava, I look at other people's splits, I'm like, man, I gotta pick up the pace. But at the end of the day, it really is your journey, and it is and you can't compare your process to anyone else. If you can just fall in love with the process of running, nothing else is gonna matter. You're gonna be able to go longer and further and faster over time because you have fallen in love with the process rather than focusing on this destination. So my number one piece of advice is remember that your journey is your own, and that comparison is going to be the thief of joy with running. Question number 3 is, what was your first running event? And this is actually a crazy story because in hindsight, now we're almost about 8 months removed from it. My first running event was last November. I ran the New York City Marathon. That was my first race I've ever done. And in hindsight, and I knew leading up to it how big of a deal it was to run the New York City Marathon. Like, it's one of those bucket list marathons, especially being a kid from Hawaii. The immensity of the race really didn't strike me until the day before the race, where you're picking up your bib, you're seeing how many people are there, you're in New York City. And then the day of the race, man, like just electrifying, like absolutely electrifying. So it's crazy, and I'm very grateful that my first running experience was the New York City Marathon, because now it's just the bar was set really high. And so for my next race, I gotta up the ante a little bit. But man, shout out to everyone in New York. One of the coolest experiences of my entire life. The people were amazing. The other run-ins were amazing, and one of the most challenging things I've ever done. Question number 4 is, what is your most ambitious yet achievable running goals? Man, I have a ton of ambitious goals. I think if anyone has known me long enough will know that I do set really big and scary goals, and I like to have the mentality of either I am going to make it or I'm going to crash and burn, but either way, I am going to learn a lot from the process, and I'm going to apply that to myself in the future. Currently, my biggest goals is for this year is to run my first ultra marathon. I have actually a few lined up now at this point. Currently, I have the Go Big ultra marathon that's I'm planning to do at the end of this year that I've been talking about in December. However, that may change because we're actually up to some other things for me training that I can't disclose yet. But we're in the middle of a bunch of talks for some big things coming up. So that might have to change just from a scheduling situation. So the other 2 races that I'm looking at, I'm for sure going to be locking in to do my first official ultra marathon, which is the Tentless Triple Trek in September. That one is going to be a 50K race, so about 30 miles with 6,000 feet of elevation gain. So it's going to be in Tentless, where I've been doing my trail runs, and it's just pretty much 3 10-mile loops up and down those trails. And the goal for that race is to really acquaint myself with the ultra marathon scene, to see what aid stations look like, to see what kind of the tempo and the race pace looks like, to kind of get some of those race day jitters out of my system, just to not feel so overwhelmed when I get to those bigger races. So that's gonna be my first race, first ultra marathon in September, 30 miles, Tentless Triple Trek. Outside of that, The next race that I'll be doing after the tentless triple ultra marathon is going to be my first either 50 miler, 100K, and even playing with the idea of maybe doing a 100 miler. But again, at the end of the day, for me, I know I'm going to be doing a 100 miler one day. I know I'm going to do all these big giant endurance races and get them under my belt, but I'm not in any rush to get there. I rather take 2 years to get to the 100 miler mark and do it safely and healthily so I can run for the rest of my life, rather than trying to push it in the next 2 months and then burn out and not be able to run ever again. So it's always keeping that perspective. It's not yet a matter of is it achievable, it's a matter about when is it going to be achieved. So I will be running a 100 miler one day, I will be running a 50 miler, and I will be running a 100K one day. When that will be, I'm not too sure, but first thing on the plate is going to be the tentless triple trek in September. All right, question number 5, the last one is, what is your dream running event? Man, I know off the bat already what mine is. It is the Hurt 100 here in Hawaii. I first heard about the Hurt 100 actually through David Goggins' book, talking about the ultra marathon races that he was doing, and the first one that he really did outside of his first 100-mile track run was the Hurt 100 here on the island of Oahu. There's so much history behind it. Obviously, being a kid from Hawaii, living here on Oahu, there is so much mystique to the Hurt 100. It started off as a very small race started by the Hurt team of just a few ultra marathon runners here in Hawaii, and it just has grown and grown and grown ever since then. It is labeled as one of the hardest ultra marathon races on the planet, just purely based off of the altitude gain, purely based off of the terrain. At the end of the day, it's a 100-mile race, hard enough already, but you're also adding on 24,000 feet of elevation gain. And on top of that, you're running on roots, rocks, and I mean, if you've seen some of the videos I've posted, it's pretty gnarly stuff. It's not like just running on a dirt trail or a hiking path. You're running on some pretty nasty terrain for 100 miles. The cutoff time for that is 36 hours. So it's one of those runs where it's like, it's going to take every ounce of your willpower to get it done. But ever since I've read about it from David Goggins, and now running with individuals on a weekly basis who have completed the Hurt 100 on multiple occasions, I'm continuing to build myself to one day accomplish the Hurt 100 myself. But that would be my dream running event. Man, that would be incredible. One day we'll get there for sure. But that's it. Thank you again for holding name required for making this challenge, and thank you for all the other YouTubers that I've talked to. I'll post their channel on the screen right now. They're all great individuals making cool running content similar to what I'm doing. So please check them out, support them, subscribe to them, because they all seem like awesome individuals, all chasing goals, all trying to document it along the way as well. So go check them out. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys for sticking out with this video, watching it all to the end. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And I just really am grateful for this ongoing journey on YouTube. We'll see where it goes, but hope you guys have a great day. Don't forget to be kind, train mean. Take care, guys.